I used to watch these shows and I would laugh and I would think to myself, wow, that looks like fun. It's actually kind of easy. But then as soon as you start researching this, trying to get into this field, this space, you understand just how much work goes in. And when they say things that seem trite at the time, like show prep, you don't think anything of it, especially on the bigger channels because they have so many people that are helping them. But man, when you're a smaller channel, it takes a lot of work to get to, the point where you're able to actually turn the video on and turn the mic on, unless you want to say something absolutely stupid, which I don't try to do. But part of the journey is that you get to expand your horizons a little bit, honestly, because you can't be saying the same things that everyone else is saying, and so you have to be presenting something interesting. And so I look around and I look for information that's not being shared widely. And even though I'm finding from young people that the stuff that I think is normal and easy to understand is actually not as easy as I thought to get for them, and so they're kind of blown away by simple facts. But I want to name drop some people here before I get into it. People that have actually stood out recently as really good people with good perspectives. And if you were getting kind of stuck in a rut and you want to expand your horizons, here's a few. I'm actually watching a video by this young lady. Currently, I'm going to actually do a special response to it, and that's why I want to bring her up right now. I don't usually watch her, but she has a really good channel, and it's mostly for women, which again, why I don't really watch it. But it's Allie Beth Stuckey. She actually has a really, really good channel on the Blaze. There's a channel I just started recently watching, and it's called The Chicks on the Right. And this is these two older ladies, and they are a riot. They are very interesting. They do have very long form. So just be aware of that. And it is longer videos, but they're really good. And then Tanashi Peter is someone who I started recently watching, and he's got unbelievably good things to say. And usually he's going against all the crazy woke stuff that's kind of coming into the right. And I say woke, but like our version of woke. And there's another channel, What Do You Mean? And I'll say that most of these channels, the last two especially, are so focused on God and Christ. And this is an influence on me. And where I want to go with my channel too, that I want it to be a challenge, is they challenge me too when I watch them on my spirituality and where I'm at. And am I studying the Bible enough? Am I looking into the Bible enough? And I hope they do the same for you, and I hope that I'm doing the same for you. Hopefully we can all be building each other up. And no matter how small the channel, hopefully we can be, like I said, the whole point of this channel is reaching one person, and that's great. So now into the video. Senator Kennedy wants to stop payments to lawmakers during the shutdown. However, believe it or not, of all people, Rand Paul is opposed and doesn't want to go that route. This is the ripple effect. So before we get into that, I wanted to mention that par with the first administration of Trump, he's actually not joining in on the UN Human Rights Review. And I can imagine just the mayhem that's causing on the left. I can just imagine the mayhem. They've got to be ripping their hairs out going, how in the world does he not want to be part of the human rights thing? But the problem is, and this is a truth that's out there. And honestly, these are the kind of truths that people like Nick Fuentes dive into and grab hold of and then latch onto. And then the young people resonate with, because it is a truth that needs to be done. It needs to be known is the UN needs to go. The UN needs to be defunded and gone. And the UN would disappear if we defunded it. In fact, we shouldn't provide them buildings. We shouldn't provide them anything. The UN has never done anything beneficial for the United States and has only hurt the United States and the interests of the United States and even the interests of conservatives and the right globally in that sense since its inception. And the reason why the United States is not part of the UN Human Rights Review is because all it is a bunch of lefties in lefty countries wanting to tell us why we are terrible and suck. Okay. And they'll forget the, Uganda attack on Christians right now. That's going crazy. They won't mention that. That'll never be brought up. Or, any attacks in a Muslim country. That'll never be brought up. But anything, just, oh, you're not providing SNAP benefits for children or whatever in the United States right now. That'll be brought up. That'll be the main focus. So the UN needs to go. Like it's past due. The expiration on that milk, it needs to go. And as the shutdown continues, this one's kind of scares me. There's as much as 20% more cancellations of flights in the near future. They're expecting that at least 20% more flights that are going to be canceled coming up. Now, I hope that before I leave for Christmas that all this stuff's over. I mean, you never know. They keep dragging it on. If supposedly we were just around the corner from a conclusion, but they keep dragging it on over and over and over and again, continuing. It seems like one week after another week after another week, and they continue to drag it out. But unfortunately, a lot of these people are not getting paid. And we can say from our selfish perspective all we want that, oh, they should just show up anyways. They're going to get back pay anyways. The problem is most people in America live paycheck to paycheck. Most people can't afford to miss one day of work, let alone or even 1 week of work, let alone months of work. But we'll get back to that. Part of this, too, is that the fact that the Trump administration is being told by the judge, by a judge, I don't even care to bring up his name, but the judge that they need to pay SNAP benefits even though the funding has run out. So there's a judge that's forcing the Trump administration or trying to force the Trump administration to pay monies. Now, here's the crazy part. I'm going to break it down for you Barney style. Here we go. Ready? Congress has money. They hold the purse. The executive branch divvies that out based on what Congress tells them to do with it. Okay? That's how they're funded. The judges are there to make sure that any laws that are passed are constitutional, are binding, are correct. That's what judges are for. Judges are not there to go into the string, then to open the purse strings and tell the executive branch where to distribute money and when to distribute money. The funding's gone, meaning that it's not covered by the Congress. They hold the power of the purse, guys. You can't legislate money from your bench. This is just getting out of hand. And I was happy to see that a judge, and I forgot to bring it up, I didn't bring it up, but there's a judge that is being brought articles of impeachment against. So I'm like, about time, and I mentioned this last time, get the judges that are crappy out of there. I have someone who listens that gets upset when I say crappy, so I apologize for saying crappy. Now that means 3 times. Oops. The Trump administration, like I said, is being told this by this judge, and the DOJ is finally responding and just saying how crazy and asinine this is, and saying you can't do this. You're a judge. You can't just sit there and make judgments that we have to pay money. But they never listen. They do the same thing where they'll just keep pushing and they'll find some other agenda or whatever to fight against the Trump administration. That's all it's about. But now back to the two warring senators from the Republican Party, and I think this is funny, and this is hysterical to me. In fact, it's mind-boggling. But the 2 senators, Kennedy, right, is up there, and he says that he thinks we should stop paying lawmakers during the shutdown, which I think is a great idea. Make it so that all lawmakers don't get paid. And what's funny is until this, maybe I was just naive, and I guess I missed this, but until this shutdown, I could have sworn that lawmakers weren't being paid during this shutdown, but apparently they are. So, whatever. But he says, don't pay them. Now, if you're Nancy Pelosi, I mean, you're making millions of dollars off of insider trading anyways, allegedly, but I guess they need their paychecks. So you would think there'd be unanimity in that among the Republican Party to say, get the Democrats to the table and make them do their job. But Rand Paul, apparently, of all people, Rand Paul went against this. And instead of saying that we should pay, just instead of just saying that we should pay continue to pay the lawmakers, he goes, no, and we should add on all the other things like military and government workers and all that. Those should still continue to be paid during a shutdown. And I was like, well, then what's the shutdown? What are we shutting down? What is the shutdown if everyone's getting paid? The only ones that would not be making money at that point, that would not be receiving benefits, would be the people. So the government shuts down to argue about stuff, and the only ones that suffer are the people. Does that seem right? The people that can't get their act together, they're the ones getting paid? I mean, I don't know how it works in most companies, but if you don't perform, you get fired, right? That's how that works. And if you lose money for the company, they're not going to make sure that the guy who is the idiot's the one getting paid. On a final note, I did want to mention, and I think this is interesting. I've mentioned it a few times, and I don't know where to go yet. I'm still praying about it. I don't know if I want to go down the Nick Fuentes route anymore. One, because he shouldn't have a say in anything we do. So is it worth wasting my time on him? I don't know. But then on the other side of it, it's like there are a lot of young people that are disaffected, young men especially. And I'm interested in listening to the young men and how they want to be approached. Because I was talking to a young man, And he was saying that a lot of people don't approach it correctly. He said what they do is they come from this approach that's like all the same and it all sounds exactly the same. And it just kind of struck me as, if I can do something different, if I can approach them differently in a way that gets them where they are so they can understand that the horror of what he is, then there's that. And what I'm probably going to do is, and this will be my thing, maybe if I do anything, would be to do a Saturday special from now on and just watch one of his shows completely through and show the fallacies that are in it. Bring the receipts. Show the people why it's so bad. But that's the whole different conversation. But it leads into this. The infighting right now is getting crazy on the conservative side. And by infighting, I mean, it's not even just infighting in conservatives, it's infighting in like what conservatism means to people. And this is the problem, is there are some people out there, and I'm sure they're the groypers, if anyone watches this that are groypers, will just immediately pop the yarmulke on the back of my head and say that I'm making $7,000, which again is the stupidest thing ever, because let me make two suggestions to you guys. Make it like $700,000. And people would believe you. But when you're talking about people that have like 100,000 subscribers, I mean, me, I'd be happy with 7,000. but people that are out there that have like hundreds of thousands of viewers, they don't need the $7,000. If you want to make up a fairy tale, make it at least somewhat believable. I mean, people were saying, oh, who was it? Oh, people on The Blaze. They were making fun of the people on The Blaze, saying that they'd gotten their $7,000. And I'm like, those guys can make so much money. $7,000 is nothing. Come on. Make it realistic. Oh, sorry, I'm having a hard time sitting here. Make it realistic. Okay, if you're going to make up something fake, make it like $700,000. I don't know why the 7, but, $1 million. Go for that. Hey, Jews, if you're out there, 7 million sounds really good to me. Just saying. So, going into it. I think it's funny that there's like now 3 degrees of separation that's going on. And you have people that are on the side that are saying, we need to determine what conservatism means. And this is good, actually. Sometimes in your party, you need to, and I'm going to make this positive. I want to make this positive. So Nick Fuentes probably wants to tear apart the Republican Party. He's announced it. He said this. He's very happy that he's being mainstreamed, according to him, by people like Tucker Carlson in his show that he posted right after the Tucker Carlson thing. He mentions the fact that he feels like he's mainstream now, which is kind of sad. Sorry, go and drink here. But what I wanted to say is this, is it's good for us to have a reassessment of ourselves. And sometimes it's important for you and your family to go around other people so they can see where you can kind of be highlighted in yourself where your kids are making mistakes. So if you think your kid's great, but then you go out with a bunch of people and your kid is the one, hurting everybody and screaming, making everyone go wild, you go, ooh, maybe he's not as perfect as I think. And I think that's what's happening in the conservative movement right now, is that there's so much of this garbage kind of creeping in that had crept in and that people weren't aware of. I mean, I'm talking to people about Nick Fuentes and people have no idea who he is. Yet I feel like the influence is there, even if it's subversively there, which Nick Fuentes is very proud of. So whatever. But the 3 degrees of separation are like this. I'm going to give you an example. So Megyn Kelly and Ben Shapiro had a conversation about Tucker, about Fuentes. And the 3 degrees of separation is basically the garbage that comes out of Fuentes' mouth being then condoned by dint of not being pushed back on by Tucker. And then Tucker and being defended by people like Matt Walsh and Megyn Kelly and so on. And then them having to deal with their other side of their friends on the conservative party, like Ben Shapiro and others like him, trying to explain themselves as to why they do this. And I'm glad that I am right now the smallest podcaster in the world, okay? Because I can say what I feel about these people, and I don't know them. It doesn't affect me. It's not going to affect me because they're never going to have me on their channel, right? And I can say that right now, I'm going to put it out there. If somehow, by some miracle, I was to grow big enough that one of these people wanted to have me on their channel to talk to them, I would treat Megyn Kelly, I would treat Ben Shapiro, Michael Knowles, Matt Walsh, Allie Beth Stuckey, Glenn Beck. I would treat any of these people with extreme respect. And even though I have great disagreements on the whole idea of Catholicism, I would still more than be happy to have a conversation with Michael Knowles, sit down and even, have a discussion with him. There's so much that I can learn from him. I can disagree with him very strongly on certain things and still be friendly or even friends with them. But There's one caveat. It's how far you go with this, because you soon will be, or soon will be who your friends are, right? And so I can make the part of them that I'm going to for certain things be like friendly, but not friends, right? And I wouldn't have friends that don't believe like me. There's no reason for that, because you'll again start the empathy trap that you get into, and you begin to consider it's okay. And so what you have is you have people like Megyn Kelly who are friends with Tucker Carlson, and they don't want to give up that friendship. And it's not just friendship too. I'm not going to say anything negative about it, but they have big groups. They have big viewerships. And so they're both being kind of supportive of each other in that sense. But the problem is when someone is mainlined like Nick Fuentes, who idealizes Hitler. And I'm sorry, guys, if you disagree with that and you don't think that's true, you have not watched him. I'm talking to Groypers. If you think that that's not true, you've not watched him. Don't be dishonest. I've watched him. That's exactly what he says. That's exactly what he thinks. If he's supportive of these things and you mainline him and mainstream him, you're saying it's okay. And eventually he gets to come in. It's like the camel sticking its nose in the tent. Eventually the camel will be in the tent. You got to smack the nose when you see it and get rid of it. So through three degrees of separation, Megyn Kelly won't denounce her friend Tucker, who won't denounce Nick Fuentes, who openly supports Hitler. So in essence of deductive reasoning, if you won't separate from your friends, Megyn Kelly is okay, at least with passive extremism. And she can say and tuck it under and hide it under her friendships all she wants, but it doesn't matter. We are what create our party. I create my party locally. People that have bigger voices than me create the party around them. And if we decide to let these people in, they will control us eventually. You cannot give place to them. And even the Bible talks about not giving place to the devil. We cannot give him an opportunity. And ultimately, that is the most important thing ever. In all of this, you look at the messages that are being portrayed, and this is why I highlighted the people that I highlighted, because a lot of them are giving the message of the death, burial, and resurrection of Jesus Christ, and how important that life-changing news is to people out there. And remember, as we're going into the weekend, this is a long one, but as we're going into the weekend, reach out to someone. Everyone reach one. That's my project. I'm calling it the Everyone Reach One Project. You guys have known this. I've said it a lot of times, but reach one person for God, reach one person for eternity. And that's all that we can do. And if you can do that, and if you see one of these people like the Groypers, I said this, I wanted to dunk on them, and I wanted to laugh at them. I wanted to laugh at their comments, and I didn't. Because I played a little bit of fun with me personally, but not with them. And the reason why is because a lot of them are very young and impressionable, and they've been lied to. Give them the truth. Teach them the words of God. Teach them the majesty and the compassion and love of God. And all this stuff could go away. These young people can be turned, can be changed, can be convicted if we reach them. Please try to reach someone this weekend. Just one person. I would love to hear the story of how one of you reaches someone this weekend. I'm going to be trying. I'm doing what I can. Please reach out. I'm trying to expand, so you'll see me on a few more things. I'll start connecting stuff together. I've got a Twitter account and some other accounts I'm trying to expand out there, and hopefully you'll hear me more out there and see me more out there. Please support me. Please include some kind of comment in the comment section. It does really help the algorithm, and even negative comments help, to be honest. And if you have an honest question or an honest comment, I'll respond to it. Thank you so much for watching The Ripple Effect.